Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Alex Dworkin and I'm a managing partner at 4D Capital. We specialize in a very unique mathematical approach to the stock market, which allows us to calculate the market and individual stocks in multidimensional space. And when we do, essentially perfect order emerges. On top of that, we've developed a number of very powerful timing indicators, and when we combine both, we can very often predict what the overall stock market or individual stocks will do in both time and price, and we can typically do it on multiple time frames, whether it's long-term or short-term, doesn't really matter. I personally believe our work is nearly identical to what Jim Simmons was able to accomplish at Renaissance Technologies, if you're familiar with Jim. So very quickly, our firm specializes in identifying equities that will 2x, 5x, 10x, and do so within a relatively short period of time. So we're essentially looking for the next NVIDIA, Apple, Bitcoin, Tesla, and so forth. And we can do that with the help of our very powerful software that we've developed around our mathematical concept. So what we can do, we can scan the entire S&P 500, for example, and we can analyze in multidimensional space, and we can figure out exactly where certain stocks will bottom. We're most interested in bottoms because it is from major bottoms in various stocks we do get those very significant run-ups. So we're able to figure out exact bottoms in both time and price, and what's so incredibly powerful about our approach is that we are then able to calculate from those bottoms exactly how far and how long the stock will rally, and then we essentially concentrate on the best opportunities that will give us those 2x, 5x or more returns within a relatively short period of time. With that in mind, let's look at today's stock, and today's stock is XOM, which is ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil is one of our 52 mega cap stocks that we review twice a year, and this is obviously the review for ExxonMobil. So thus far, the stock has been following our forecast perfectly, and our forecast hasn't changed since much earlier period of this year. I believe May or no, it was before that. I think it was probably February or March of this year when we updated this particular stock. So what you're seeing in front of you is a very simplistic representation of a very complex, or I should say a number of very complex mathematical concepts. So for those who are new to our work, basically what you're looking at here, the triangles at the top and the bottom, we call them cycle composites, okay? And cycle composites are essentially, the bottom ones are responsible for putting in major and minor bottoms. We can zoom in and zoom out on multiple time frames, and the top ones are responsible for putting in the tops. So once again, it's a very simplistic representation of a very complex mathematical approach. And what we do is we analyze the market or the chart in three-dimensional space, and we identify these cycles, and then we pick them out, and then we project them into the future. What makes it even more difficult is that there are typically multiple composites running at any given time and for any given stock or the overall stock market. So I use Dow Jones as an example always. Dow Jones has two bottom composites and two upper composites running at the same time, and they're different. But if you put them together, you can get a very close representation of what you see on the two-dimensional time and price chart, okay? So these are long-term cycles with a certain variance associated with them, and as you can see from the chart of XOM, we are moving into this particular top that is scheduled for the end of the year, perhaps early next year, and that is when a major top for this particular stock is going to be put in place. And we've had this forecast for many, many months, if not over a year. Okay, so it's playing out perfectly thus far. The lines you see on the chart in front of you is what we would call cycle clusters. Also very complex mathematical timing concept. So we once again scan the chart in three-dimensional space. We identify these proprietary cycles that we've developed over the years, and then we project them into the future. And what we found over the years is that typically important turning points, or short-term turning points, if you zoom in on a time frame you're looking at, typically happen not when any particular cycle arrives at any given time, but when there's a multitude of cycles arriving at the same time. So on a certain day, for example, we have 4 or 5 powerful cycles hitting. Rest assured, that's when a turning point will occur. I always give 2009 bottom as an example. At that time, March 6, plus or minus one trading day, we had 15 cycles. Some of them were very long-term cycles arriving at the same time. So that would give you an indication that the market was crashing in that particular day in an extended bear market, that there would be a very important turning point occurring at that time. And of course, that was the case. So if we look at basically the composites will get us into a neighborhood, and the cycle clusters will give us the exact date of any given turning point will arrive. So if we compare these nodes, you see there's a cluster. Well, actually, let me unclick this and keep the clusters only. So there's a cluster here at the end of in January of 2016. There's a next cluster here that line up with this particular point very well. So in regards to this particular forecast, we don't want to be too exact. We do have a 30-day free trial associated with our work. You can log in and see the actual time and price targets without inquiring any sort of a cost. But for the purpose of this presentation, just know that we are moving into a major cycle top. And after this major cycle top is put in place, we will move into this major cycle bottom that is scheduled for, let's say, 2029. Okay, so that's the overall timing forecast for this particular stock. So the question becomes, well, how far do we go, and where exactly is the top? And after the top is developed, how far down do we go? And let me show you this representation of our three-dimensional calculations. I know this doesn't make any sense to you, but it makes a lot of sense to us. And basically what I've been saying is that the stock is moving into this particular green region, which is just a different representation of our three-dimensional calculations. And our indicators say that the stock will top at approximately $125 plus or minus $5. That's where the top is going to be at the end of this year, early next year. And once that top is put in place, it's going to decline, not substantially, but you should expect probably a print of $100 a share. So we'll talk about that when we get there. Once the top is confirmed, we can give you a much better downside projections, but nothing exciting, nothing to short, so to speak. Just a regular kind of bear market decline that we anticipate going forward once this particular top is reached in both time and price. And that's it for the forecast today for ExxonMobil. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a 30-day free trial associated with our work. There's no strings attached, no credit cards, none of that stuff. All you have to do is request it. The link at the bottom description of this video. We also have a webinar coming up this Friday. It is limited to 10 people, so if you do get a chance, please reserve your spot as soon as possible. The link at the bottom of this video as well. The biggest selling point about this particular webinar is that we discuss our mathematical approach in much greater detail. We show you our calculations. We show you how we calculate the market in four-dimensional space, and then or three-dimensional. Actually, it's three-dimensional space, but the fourth dimension is time. Okay, so that's just a very quick mention. On top of that, we demonstrate our very powerful software, how it is able to scan the market and then identify those very good opportunities, how you can perhaps benefit substantially from all of the above. But most importantly, we talk about the overall composition of the stock market today, what it's going to do going forward, and I believe you'll find it quite helpful. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for your time. We'll be back with another analysis tomorrow. We'll be looking at Merck. Merck is moving into a very important bottom as we speak. It's going to be one of our, it is also one of our mega cap stocks, but perhaps it has the potential of becoming one of the fast movers or even one of the super equities. It's just different parameters of anticipated gain that we classify for our internal purposes. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day ahead, and we'll be back with another video tomorrow. Bye-bye.